Have you ever had someone slice through your peace with a smile? A comment that seemed small at first but stayed in your chest, quietly growing like an infection you can't shake. It's the kind of pain that doesn't scream. It sits, almost waiting for you to acknowledge it. At first, you brush it off, laugh it off, tell yourself it doesn't matter. But as the day goes on, something shifts. It's in the way you stare at your phone, replaying those words. It's in the moments you should focus, but your mind is stuck on what they said again. Suddenly, you realize it. Your peace is slipping away, not through a loud robbery, but a silent exchange. You didn't lose your calm, you gave it away bit by bit. Every time you let someone's words dictate your mood, every time you let their judgment pull you off course, you handed over your calm without even realizing it. The worst part, you did it willingly. But what if you could stop? What if you could take it back? What if you didn't have to let the chaos unravel you every time someone said something stupid or disrespectful? Imagine walking through this world without letting anyone disturb the tranquility inside your soul. That's not a fairy tale. That's power. Real, untouchable power. This isn't about pretending to be calm when you're seething. It's about owning your inner world, commanding your response so fully that no one, not a single person, not an insult, can touch your peace. Because when you master your reaction to the world, you don't just stop feeling anger, you become untouchable. You become the calm in the storm, the steady hand while everyone else panics. And when you carry that quiet power, something beautiful happens. People stop using your emotions to control you. You stop giving away your peace. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Let that sink in. The pain isn't in what they said. It's how you allow it to affect you. It's how much power you give them to shake your foundation. You don't need to change the world. You need to change your response. This video won't teach you how to bury your emotions or fake a smile. It's about reclaiming your power one moment at a time. When you own your inner peace, nothing on the outside can touch it. And when you stop letting chaos control your internal state, you don't just become calm, you become dangerous. In a world that thrives on drama and noise, being at peace is your superpower. So if this hits deep in your chest like this video, not for me, but for the real you, the one who's done with being rattled by the world around you. And if you're tired of letting others control your emotional state, drop a comment below. Let it be your declaration. Nothing outside of me can break my peace. Own it, live it. If someone in your life is still drowning in anger and bitterness, send them this. Let them feel the weight of this truth, the power of stillness, of walking through life unshaken. And if you're ready to stop being knocked off balance, subscribe not just to the channel but to your own transformation. The version of you who stands unflinching in the storm. The version of you who owns their peace and never gives it away. This is the moment. The change begins now, not in the world outside, but inside you. Let the calm start here. Let's begin. Number 1, your value is not a reaction to their behavior. There's a silent rebellion happening inside your chest, a clash between your true self and the version they try to reduce you to. It doesn't explode. It doesn't scream. It whispers. And that's what makes it so dangerous. You walk into the room holding your head high, wearing dignity like a crown, and then someone doesn't look up. They don't nod. They act like you're air and something inside you stumbles. It's not the act itself. It's the whisper that follows. Maybe I don't matter. And just like that, the war begins, not between you and them, but between truth and illusion. You weren't wounded by their words. You were wounded by the meaning you stitched into their silence. That's how insecurity is born, not from what they do, but from what you allow it to mean. And let me tell you something they never taught you. Your value was never meant to hang on the mood swings of another human being. You were not made to flinch every time someone turns cold. You were not designed to shapeshift to win scraps of attention. You were born with a fire in your chest, not a mirror on your skin. You don't exist to reflect their moods. You exist to radiate your essence regardless of their storms. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free, but bravery doesn't wear armor. It walks through ridicule without bending its spine. It stares into the eyes of apathy and doesn't beg to be seen." True strength, it's the kind that doesn't flinch when love is withheld. It doesn't chase explanations. It stands still, whole enough. When someone disrespects you, it's not an invitation to collapse. It's a test of who you are, of how solid your spine is when the room tries to make you question your place in it. Their sarcasm, their cold shoulder, their eye rolls, that's their biography. Don't let it become your autobiography. Picture your soul as a sacred temple. A stranger walks by and hurls mud at the walls. Does that desecrate the altar inside? No, because they don't carry the keys unless you hand it to them, and most do. They open the door and let the mud in. That's how we lose ourselves, not from the attack, but from the surrender. So make this your law. Let their behavior reflect them, not rewrite you. Let their coldness echo through the air, not through your bloodstream. Let their silence be a silence, nothing more. Don't translate it into shame. Don't decorate it with false meanings, because the way someone treats you is just a signal, not a sentence. You are not their tone, you are not their scowl, you are not a reaction to their emptiness. You are a cathedral, not a sponge. Let their darkness hit the wall but never seep in. Type this below if you feel it in your soul. I don't mirror disrespect, I reflect dignity. Number 2, guard your inner space like a sacred temple. We live in a world that locks everything: doors, bank vaults, screens, even hearts. But the one place that should be sealed in stone, your inner world, is left wide open like a broken gate in a storm. Anyone can walk through it, not just friends, not just strangers. Sometimes the ones who left years ago still have keys. And when they walk in, they don't just sit quietly. They rearrange the furniture. They scratch the walls. They tear down the silence you bled years to build. And we let it happen because we were never taught to protect what truly matters, our inner temple. They don't kick the door in. They slide in unnoticed. It starts with a name forgotten in a meeting, a half-smile laced with sarcasm, someone dismissing your pain like it's a comedy sketch. And without realizing, you hand them the master key. You start defending yourself. You over-explain your truth. You match their tone to prove you're not weak. But the moment you respond from emotion, they're not just in your head. They're camped there, sleeping in your peace, eating off your energy, tearing down your boundaries like torn paper in the wind. But Stoicism teaches what most men never learn. You are the gatekeeper. They can scream through the peephole. They can curse your name from the porch. But they only enter if you open the damn door. Epictetus said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them." Which means you weren't hurt because they insulted you. You were hurt because you believed it was worth your energy. That belief, that misjudgment, was the entry point. And if you can shut that, they can bang all day. They won't get in. Now imagine this. Your inner peace is a cathedral built in silence, no flashing lights, just candles, warmth, stillness. Every insult is a gust of wind trying to blow them out. Every bitter word is a fist at the stained glass. But they fail because silence protects the flame. Stillness fortifies the walls, and your refusal to engage becomes sacred architecture. Let them shout outside. Let them throw rocks. You're inside, listening to the stillness, breathing in the quiet like incense from heaven. From this moment on, your peace is not public property. Your energy is not for sale, and your attention, that is holy ground. Access isn't assumed anymore. Access is earned with character, with care, and with silence that doesn't try to take from you. Number 3, their chaos is not your storm. Some people don't walk into your life. They explode into it like emotional bombs dressed in skin. They carry wounds that stink of years they refuse to heal. They bleed shame and sling guilt like knives. Every word is a trap. Every silence a manipulation. They don't want connection. They want control. They don't seek truth. They seek power over your nervous system. They don't want love. They want a mirror to scream at. And if you're not wide awake, you become that mirror, cracked, shaking, shattered. You feel it in the silence before they speak, that heavy shift in the air like the world just tilted sideways, a cold pulse slithering through your spine. They enter the room and your soul flinches, not because you're weak, but because your spirit recognizes the storm before your mind does. Their eyes scan for vulnerability. Their voice, laced with hidden landmines. And somewhere in the chaos, you start asking yourself, did I provoke this? Did I fail them? No, you didn't fail. You just forgot you had the right to walk away from their battlefield. Stoicism doesn't teach you to be numb. It teaches you to stop handing out emotional first aid kits to people who cut you open and call it love. Marcus Aurelius warned us, Expect the ungrateful, expect the jealous, expect the surly, not so you cower but so you rise without surprise. You see the storm for what it is, a desperate soul trying to pull you down to the depths where they drown daily. Their behavior is a reflection of their wounds, not your worth. You are not their savior. You are not their project. You are not the soft shoulder they get to punch when their demons start screaming. You are not the emotional punching bag for someone else's broken history. Let them scream. Let them rage. Let them burn their own house down. You are the stone they cannot move, the wall they cannot climb, the silence they cannot manipulate. You are the stillness that drives their chaos insane. Visualize this, a wild sea thrashing with thunder, madness, and darkness. But in the center, there you stand, unshaken, a mountain of calm in a world of fire. Let the waves crash. Let the wind scream. You are not moved. You are not bending, because you finally realize the storm was never yours. From this moment forward, when chaos knocks, you do not open the door. You do not absorb, you do not engage, you do not explain yourself to those who don't want to understand. You observe, you stay grounded, you breathe, and you rise, because their storm is not your purpose. Their damage is not your legacy, and their fire will never burn a man who has already walked through his own. Number 4, you don't owe anyone an emotional reaction. They don't just want your attention, they want your collapse. They want to puppet your nervous system, to watch you squirm under the weight of their chaos, to drag you into a battle you didn't ask for just so they can feel seen in their own disaster. Every insult, every jab, every passive-aggressive smirk is bait, and they smile when you take it. They feed off your fire, because the second you explode, they own you. This world worships noise. It worships drama, reactions, meltdowns. A loud life is mistaken for a strong one, but the strongest souls, they don't roar. They refuse to roar on command. And that refusal, that's what terrifies the crowd, because they can't control what they can't provoke. What if your silence wasn't passive but predatory? What if your lack of response wasn't fear but ferocity in disguise? What if your stillness screamed louder than their madness? When they hurl disrespect, don't flinch. When they try to stain you with their bitterness, stay spotless. Their goal is simple: extract your energy, poison your peace, puppeteer your emotions. But you're done being their plaything. You're no longer the clown in their circus. You are the storm they'll never predict, the silence they'll never understand, the soul they'll never crack. Seneca didn't say, "Don't react to make you passive." He said it to make you free. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy, because being like them chains you to their sickness. Reacting to filth only makes you smell like it. You were not built to dance for the dysfunctional. You were built to dominate your own mind like a king, untouchable by whispers. You are not heartless for ignoring them. You are holy for protecting your frequency. You are not weak for walking away. You are wise enough to not bleed for cowards. You don't need to roar back. You just need to remain untouchable. So imagine this: the lion inside the cage. The children scream. The fools throw stones. And yet it does not move, not because it's scared, but because it knows it could kill with a whisper. That's you now. You were the lion after the war, scarred, silent, sacred. And from this moment forward, you owe no reaction, not because you've shut down, but because you've awakened. You've seen the cost of leaking energy into empty people. And now you've chosen silence, not as surrender, but as a weapon so divine it leaves the room breathless. Let them tremble. You're done performing. Number 5, understand their actions are projections, not truths. They didn't hurt you because you were weak. They hurt you because you were near, a moving target in the line of fire, standing too close when their soul cracked open. That insult wasn't a judgment. It was a scream from a drowning mind. That cold shoulder wasn't indifference. It was frost forming over their own abandoned self. That sarcasm wasn't clever. It was a last-ditch mask for their shame. But here's the razor-cut truth. The moment you absorbed it as truth, you betrayed your own reflection. They bled on you from wounds they never warned you about. And you wore the blood like guilt. You walked around questioning your worth because they spat poison from a mouth that couldn't even pronounce self-love. You let their fear of your strength become your fear of standing tall. But listen closely. What they threw at you was never about you. It was the static from a radio broken by years of screaming inside. Epictetus knew this centuries ago. It is not he who reviles or strikes you who insults you, but your opinion that these things are insulting. Their words are not blades until you hand them the hilt. Their rage is not truth until you kneel and call it scripture. Let that sink in. You are not bruised by their words. You are bruised by the lie you chose to believe. Think of it like this. You're standing in front of a carnival mirror, twisted and grotesque. Your image is warped, limbs bent, face stretched into something monstrous. But only a fool believes the mirror. Only someone desperate for validation would bow before that glass and whisper, "This must be me." You're not that fool, you're the fire, you're the truth that shatters the glass. Their projections, not reflections, their hate, a confession, their silence, a storm brewing in a soul that never learned how to love itself. You were just the closest mirror, and they smashed it, hoping the shards would silence the pain. But pain doesn't leave through violence, it leaves through awareness. From this moment forward, burn this into your bones. You are not what they did to you. You are what you chose to become after. Their words are echoes from rooms you never walked in. Let them yell. Let them spit. Let them throw their chaos like stones. You will not bleed for someone else's ghosts because your worth was never up for debate, and your truth was never theirs to rewrite. Number 6, not everything needs your energy. Every single morning you wake up holding something holy. No, not time, not money, not opportunity, something far more lethal, your energy. It's the invisible force that fuels your words, your moves, your thoughts, your heartbeats. And from the very second you open your eyes, the world starts clawing at it, demanding pieces of it, poking, provoking, testing, hoping you'll spend your essence on things that don't even matter. You are born with just enough fire each day to light your purpose. But the moment you throw that fire at every barking dog, every digital opinion, every disrespectful tone, you're already losing, bleeding, burning out before you even touch what you were born to build. And that's the trap. Most people die tired, not from chasing dreams, but from chasing arguments, defending their name to people who never mattered, wasting mental currency on every sly comment, every passive jab, every look that lingered too long. You're not obligated to dance with every devil who winks at you. Not every fight is yours. Not every trigger deserves your bullet. Not every insult is worth an echo. Learn this, and you save your soul from a lifetime of being manipulated by fools. Let me take you somewhere deeper. Imagine your energy is not just a resource but a sacred sword, and each word you speak, each reaction you give, each emotion you unleash is a swing. Now ask yourself how many of your swings are landing on shadows, on ghosts, on meaningless friction that does nothing but wear you down. You walk into your day like a warrior with one blade, surrounded by beggars pretending to be enemies. They don't want to fight you. They want to drain you. They want you triggered, flustered, off balance. Because when you're burning on nonsense, you forget your mission. You forget your value. You become predictable, and predictable men are easy to control. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of stillness, whispered through time, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." But most never do. They give their power away, one outrage at a time, one argument, one ego-driven reply, until nothing's left but a walking nerve wired to explode on command. But you're not here to be drained. You're here to be dangerous in your stillness. You're not a flame for every wind to play with. You're a furnace. You choose who gets warmth and who burns. And when they come, because they will, with their taunts, their sarcasm, their guilt trips and traps, you don't respond with thunder. You don't even blink. You grip your silence like a sword. You smile like a storm is brewing behind your ribs. You keep walking because the lion does not roar back at every hyena. The lion doesn't waste its breath on lesser predators. It keeps its energy reserved for the hunt, for the throne, for what matters. So let them talk, let them try. Let them spin their chaos around you like vultures. You do not belong to them. Your energy is your crown, and it will not be thrown at the feet of cowards. You are not just in control. You are untouchable when you stop bleeding for things that can't heal. Number 7, walk away without a sound. There comes a point in your life when the battlefield is no longer worth the blood, not because you've lost your strength, but because you've gained something far more dangerous: clarity. You start seeing the games, the manipulation behind the apologies, the venom behind the compliments, the silent contracts they expect you to sign, the kind where you're supposed to bleed your peace just to keep the room calm. And that's when it hits you. You don't owe them an explanation, not a goodbye, not a breakdown, not even a breath. The most brutal power you can hold in this twisted world is the ability to walk away without a sound. The world trains you to shout back, to match fire with fire, to cry, to beg, to defend yourself until your throat is raw. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. It tells you, do not waste your inner temple reacting to outer chaos. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." And there it is, the truth that cuts deeper than any blade. You don't have to roar to show power. Sometimes the strongest move is to vanish without warning, leaving them swinging at your shadow. Because people who want to drain you don't fear your anger. They feed on it. But your silence, your disconnection, that frightens them. It tells them they never had power over you in the first place. When you walk away without defending your name, without firing back a final message, without explaining why you're done, it shakes the ground beneath them. It forces them to sit with the echo of everything they did. And in that echo, they finally hear the truth. You've evolved past them. It's not easy. Don't mistake this for numbness. Your heart might still ache. Your mind might still replay the betrayals, the lies, the guilt they twisted into love. But you walk anyway, with a clenched jaw, with shaking hands if you must. Because walking away doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you're choosing not to bleed in front of people who laughed when you were wounded. You don't slam the door. You don't leave a note. You just leave. Because the moment you explain, they twist it. The moment you cry, they label it weakness. The moment you raise your voice, they point and say, "See, you're the problem." So you give them nothing, not a syllable, not a stare, not a single second more of your life force. Let them wonder. Let them rot in the silence you left behind, because you're no longer explaining to people who hear only what suits them. You're no longer standing in rooms that feel like traps with carpets of glass and forced smiles. You're no longer apologizing for finally choosing yourself. You are not cruel for protecting your peace. You are not heartless for refusing to be their emotional landfill. You're not broken for building walls. You're rebuilt for war. Walk away like you were never there. And if they chase, don't turn. If they scream, don't flinch. Because once you've found your worth, your energy becomes sacred ground. And the louder the world demands your reaction, the more dangerous your silence becomes. Let it ring. Let it echo. Let it haunt. You've left not just the room, but the role they cast you in. You're done shrinking to fit inside cages made of guilt and what-ifs. You're done explaining to people who were never listening. You're done fighting battles that only leave you bloody on the inside. Now you walk without noise, without rage, without fear, like a storm passing through, but calm, complete, unshakable. That's not abandonment. That's rebirth. Number 8, the real test is when you say nothing and feel nothing. There comes a day when chaos knocks on your door and you don't even flinch, not because you're cold, but because you've evolved. Because you've already been to war in your mind 1,000 times over. You've stood in the ruins of betrayal. You've heard the lies that shattered your trust. You've tasted the venom of silence from people you once bled for. And yet somehow you're still standing, but this time taller, quieter, stronger, not reactive, not bitter, just deeply done. You're not pretending to be over it. You are. You're not swallowing rage. You've burnt it down to ash. That's what they don't see. They think silence means weakness, that stillness means surrender. But they don't understand that silence, real silence, is sacred. It's earned. You get there only when you've crawled through the fire of every trigger and come out with your peace welded to your bones. They don't get to you anymore, not because you're numb, not because you've buried it, but because you've outgrown the need to defend your worth. You've stopped arguing with ghosts. You've stopped looking back at doors you burned down for a reason. What used to make your blood boil now barely registers as a whisper in your mind. That's not apathy. That's emotional alchemy. That's Stoicism in its final form, complete mastery over the storm inside you. You see your ex, the one who ripped your chest open without flinching, and your heart doesn't skip. There's no bitterness, no hunger to prove anything, just a quiet, grounded neutrality. You remember how much it used to hurt, and now you marvel at how little space they occupy. The person who insulted you in front of everyone, you replay it. And instead of flaring up, you feel a strange kind of compassion, not pity, not superiority, just understanding. They're suffering in ways I no longer carry. The truth, you're not avoiding emotion. You've mastered it. You've made peace your baseline. Your breath no longer dances to the beat of someone else's drama. You don't jump when provoked. You observe. You stay rooted. You respond with nothing but a calm presence that makes insecure people panic because they can't control someone who refuses to be triggered. You used to bleed every time someone touched the scar. Now they press and nothing happens. That's when you know the healing is real, that the wounds aren't open anymore, that you've stepped into a new version of yourself, one that can walk through fire barefoot and smile. Stoic strength isn't the absence of feeling, it's the refusal to be owned by it. You're not fighting anymore. You're not clenching fists. You've dropped the sword, not because you lost, but because the war is beneath you now. You win by disengaging. You win by walking through the battlefield with your hands in your pockets and your heart unbothered. So let them throw words. Let them try to pull you back into the drama. You don't even flinch. You don't explain. You don't clap back. Because the final stage of power isn't when you roar. It's when you smile, say nothing, and feel nothing. The road to true peace isn't paved in perfection. It's carved with sheer discipline, the kind of discipline that doesn't just fall from the sky. It's earned in every single moment you refuse to let your mind slip into chaos. Discipline over the mind that wants to rage, over the hands that yearn to strike, over the heart that wants to crack under pressure. You weren't born to bow. You weren't born to break when life's storms hit. You were born to stand tall, unshaken, while the world crashes and burns around you. You're the calm in the storm, the silence in the chaos, the rock that doesn't move, no matter how fiercely the waves crash against it. While others scream, you breathe. While others beg for the drama, you walk away unfazed. You hold stillness like a weapon because it's your greatest weapon. It's the force that keeps you centered when everything around you is crumbling. This is your power. If this hit you in the gut, if it cracked open something inside you, then don't just sit there. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Make this truth go viral. Own your peace. Own your power, and always remember, they don't get to decide your emotions. You do. Own that, because that's where your real freedom starts.